What's up guys, Mark here at Lone University. This is lesson 160, and in this lesson I'll be showing you a really cool lick I've stumbled upon in recent months, and I've found myself using it, almost overusing it. I'm guilty of it because it's just so versatile and universal, and it can work in any context, any rhythm, any setting, any groove, any key, any scale. You get where I'm going. And I've dubbed this the moving box bass fill. Now it's a very simple in terms of note choices. It's based around the major pentatonic scales and the minor pentatonic scales. Okay, major pentatonic scale, if we're doing these in C, it's a 5-note scale, so just 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, octave. Okay, there's a lesson on pentatonics here in the library. If you'd like more review on that, go check that out. And the minor pentatonic is the same thing. We're just going in the minor key. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now these fills are going to be based around those exact notes. And the reason this is so universal is because it is a pentatonic scale in essence, and those are very flexible just about on anything. So I played that in the beginning of the clip of this lesson. I did 2 variations of it, the major version and the minor version. Okay, and the way these work is that I'm going to break it down into just an 8-note fill right now, and this helps you to resolve a chord progression back to the 1. Okay, so a traditional chord progression, maybe it has 4 chords. Let's go with something really safe like C, G, A, and F. Just something you've heard 1,000 times before. Okay, 1, 5, 6, 4, very common progression. So the way this fill works is that we're using it sort of in a 16th note fashion. Now if that's too fast, you can do this in 8th notes, quarter notes, whatever works. It's based in 4-note groupings. And the fill is basically, again, a moving box. So the way I'm going to play it sort of goes like this. You'll see I'm sort of taking that box shape, just 2-fret zone on 2 strings, and I'm just sort of moving it up the fretboard. Now I can really show you how this box moves around because I have a 6-string, but this works again on any bass, even a 4-string, 5-string. So if I were to do that all the way up the neck, you can kind of watch this box shape kind of move up like this. Okay, so we're just going to be using 8 notes inside of that, so it'd just be like 2 boxes technically. Okay, and you can follow along, of course, in the lesson file PDF, and I'll be tabbing out these exact examples I'll be using. So going back to that 4-chord progression in C. Okay, so when the chord progression resolves, it's going back to the 1. That's going to be the constant here. You want to get from whatever chord you're on back to the 1. That's when the chord progression resolves. Okay, and if I were doing like a minor chord progression, the same thing would apply. So for an A minor, okay, that would be a minor version. So we want to get back to that 1. So if I were to use 8 notes to get back to that 1, I would use 2 boxes. So the way this works is that you take a whole step from the root note and start there. So in the major version, using notes from the major pentatonic scale, if I want to resolve back to C major, I'm going to start on D. That's 1 whole step away from D. So the major starts a whole step up from the root note if we're in the major, but the minor version starts a whole step under the root note. Okay, so I'm going to show you an A minor example and a C major example. The C major, we're going to start the fill on D. That's 1 whole step away, above C. The minor example, I'm going to start on G. That's 1 whole step below A, and we're going to go up to A. So the minor version goes up, the major version goes down. Now you can make these as flexible and change them as much as you want. We'll talk about that at the end, but I'll show you how these work now. So a whole step above C, that's D, into the next octave. We want to get back to this C. Okay, and the fill, that's going to be tabbed out in figure A below. You see I can go like this. I can move that box down. So just a minute ago I moved it up. So if I were to do back down, it'd look like this. Okay, and I want you to use the exact fingerings I'm using. The left hand is going to be notated with numbers, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the plucking hand, just sort of do what feels natural, but you can sort of watch and see what I'm doing here. It's very easy stuff. I'm just doing some raking and I'm just, of course, descending the strings. So once again, that is 8 notes. What gives this fill a cool sort of intensity is the slides in there, and something like that can make a huge difference. One of our guests, Linus Klausenitzer, on one of his recent lessons, talked about the importance of phrasing, talked about how you can take the same bass line and add simple things like where you're putting the hammer-ons, where you're putting the slides, where you're putting the root notes or the muted notes, and that can just give a bass line an entirely new character. And one of the things I've been really suggesting to you guys is taking things you already know, major minor scales, major minor pentatonics, and rearranging the notes and adding phrasings in a way that makes them sound very different, not so predictable. This is one of those bass fills that just sounds a little bit off kilter. It's really cool. Now if you do it really fast, it kind of has this really intense building effect. Okay? That can be really cool depending on the context, but we're going to slow it down for now. So figure A once again. That repeated note in there gives it sort of a cool sound too. A lot of people don't think to repeat notes. I talk a lot about that in some of my methods for breaking out of scales and solos. Everybody thinks every note has to be different than the next. You can repeat some notes and gives it some character, okay? So putting that in context with that same C, G, A, F chord progression, the major version would sound like this. So now to show you a minor version, we're going to be using A minor as an example. Now again, I said start a whole step before the root note. So one whole step below A would be G. So if I want to get to this A, that's where I'm going to resolve this chord progression. That'd be an A minor version, similar chord progression. But let's say I want to get to that A. So I'm going to go a whole step down into the next octave. Same thing applied with C. I want to get to this C. I'm going to go a whole step into the next octave. Okay? So I want to get to this A. I'm going to start on this G. Now the moving box goes up here. 8 notes. And the important thing to understand is that you're literally moving this box shape around. Again, if you missed that before, I'm just taking these 2 fret zone over 2 strings. It's like a rectangle. You can see it. That's what I'm moving up. And it changes every time you do that slide. Okay, so doing the A minor chord progression, that would sound like this. So one last thing I want to leave you with is the fact that this moving box bass fill can be extended much farther than just these 8 notes. And you can actually eliminate that step I added about starting a whole step after or before a root note, which is really just a way to make it work in a chord progression. But you can eliminate that process and just start this on the actual 1 of the key relative to the key. So even if we're in E minor, that's the key of G. If we're in the key of D minor, that's the key of B flat. Or if we're in a major key, it's just the 1. But no matter what key I'm in, I can start this moving box fill on the root note, and I will never ever get out of key. I will run out of room before I do, okay? And you can extend this past these 8 notes. You can use it for a solo. You can use it to create a lick. Or if you just like a pattern to rely on, if you're not sure where to go, you can just jump straight to this and have a really cool bass fill at your disposal. Now where you end up, that's your creative choice. But watch this. So if I'm in the key of G, okay, just 1 sharp, that's F sharp, and I start this moving box bass fill on G, every note I hit will be in the key of G, and I'll never go out of key. So it's safe to say that I could just jump in and just start this pattern on G if I know I'm in the key, and I'll be safe that every note's going to be in the key. Watch. So check it out. G, A, C, A, D, E, G, E, A, B, D, B, E. okay? All in the key of G, all fit inside the normal G major scale. So if you start this pattern on the root note of a given key, you can go all the way up without even thinking about it. Just move that box shape up and you will be in key on every note. It's a very reliable pattern. And even on a 5-string, I can still go from the bottom string to the top string and be in key. It's not until you get into the 6-string territory that the notes start to go out of key. Okay, so I'll demonstrate for a 5-string, starting on fret 3 on this low B, on this D. All in key. D, E, G, E, A, B, D, B, E, F sharp A, F sharp B, C sharp E, C sharp, F sharp. Can't do that one fast. So there you have it, the moving box bass fill. Very cool pattern that works very interestingly around the fretboard. And I challenge you to work this into your bag of bass fills and see where it crops up. All right, we'll see you next time. Have fun with it.